Hello, Jim Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. One, I guess you would say, subordinate item for today, and then on to the main subject. The subordinate item is an update on the Fulton County, Georgia ballot audit, or maybe I should say the ballot audit that the plaintiffs have been trying to hold. They keep getting these roadblocks from the election officials. In fact, they recently hired a couple of criminal defense attorneys to try to stop this audit. We have a decision now from the judge. You'll recall that there was a hearing Monday. The judge needed some time to decide. So here is his decision. Judge allows part of Fulton County election lawsuit to proceed. Plaintiff claims, quote, victory, unquote. A Georgia judge on Thursday dismissed 7 of 9 claims in a Fulton County election lawsuit while allowing 2 to proceed that require the county to produce digital images of 150,000 mail-in ballots that are at the center of plaintiffs' allegations of fraud in the 2020 presidential election. So first quick correction, the actual number is 147,000 ballots, not 150,000, or maybe that's an estimate too, but closer to 147,000 than 150,000. In an order, Henry County Superior Court Chief Judge Brian Amero ruled that the respondents of the lawsuit, Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections, and Fulton County Clerk of Superior and Magistrate Courts could not be defendants in the suit due to sovereign immunity protections. However, Amero granted a request by plaintiffs to add 5 named individual members of Fulton County's Board of Registration and Elections as respondents in the case, essentially keeping the suit alive. So let me just take a moment to explain sovereign immunity in case you don't know what it is. Sovereign immunity, that's it's a legal doctrine that means that governmental parties, government agencies are protected from many or most forms of lawsuits. Georgia law stipulates that, quote, no suit alleging violations of due process or equal protection rights under the Georgia Constitution that seek declaratory or injunctive relief may be initiated against either the state or county, unquote, barring a waiver from the state legislature or the state constitution. So what this decision is saying, I hope that brought everybody some clarification. The plaintiffs cannot sue the agencies, the ones that I named, but they can sue the members, the individual human beings who sit on those agencies or in those agencies. That's really the gist of it. Don Samuel, an attorney for the Fulton County Elections Board, told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, very liberal paper by the way, that there are plans to seek the rest of the lawsuit dismissed. He also said Amero's ruling means the plaintiffs cannot inspect the absentee ballots with high-powered microscopes as they had intended. Quote, that litigation is finished, unquote, Samuel told the outlet. Quote, is there going to be an audit? Not right now. There's no discovery permitted. There's no lawsuit pending anymore, unquote. The lead plaintiff in the case, Garland Favorito, said in a statement he viewed Amero's order as a win. Quote, we are pleased that the court has ruled in our favor again for the 5th time. The ruling substitutes defendants by replacing currently named government organizations with individual board members we named originally in our lawsuit. It also moots Don Samuel's attempt to dismiss our case. This continues the string of victories we have, including how we obtained the original protective order, conditional approval to inspect ballots, access to ballot images, and the order to unseal the ballots, unquote. Bob Cheeley, lead attorney for 2 of the petitioners, believes the ruling will allow the complainants to, quote, get an audit and get to the truth, unquote. So what I'm taking from this, to kind of sum it up for everybody, well, my understanding from the beginning was the plaintiffs only want to look at images of the ballots. They would be satisfied just with images. This is new to me, the idea of examining the actual ballots with a microscope. I'm kind of guessing that's coming from the Maricopa County, Arizona audit, where they are inspecting the actual paper. But my understanding, that was not part of the original case, or maybe it was, but this is the first I'm hearing of it. What they really wanted were images, because they want to look for folds in the ballots. This Susie Voiles, who I've mentioned a couple of times, the poll manager with 20 years of experience, who was managing the recount, the Fulton County recount, she testified, a sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury, that she had seen pristine ballots, mail-in ballots that should have been folded to be put into the envelopes, but they were, as she said, quote, pristine, unquote, had not been folded, and that there were ovals filled in identically with an identical white space on all of the ballots. That can be determined from an image, and the images are public record. They have a right to the images. The problem they were having is that the resolution of the images, 200 dots per inch, 200 dpi, that's not enough to ascertain what they're trying to ascertain. They went back to court to get 600 dpi images, which is normal. Just if you print something on your printer, that's normal. That's 600 dpi. I don't know why somebody would scan something at 200 dpi. Maybe ballots are always scanned at 200 dpi, though I would have to wonder, because your normal scanner, when you scan something and then send it to somebody, the norm is 600 dpi at least, and sometimes even more, say if it's a photo. I think I read in another article that the defendants now have 30 days in which to respond to this decision that I just shared with everybody. So it could be another 30 days before the audit goes forward in Fulton County, or at least the auditing of these images. But I'm more confident than unconfident that it will happen sooner or later. Just these roadblocks that the plaintiffs keep having to go through. And now on to the main subject for today, which is this bipartisan, quote, bipartisan, unquote, infrastructure deal that was announced in front of the White House yesterday. That would be Thursday. I'm recording this Friday, and you're not even going to see it till Monday. So I'm sure everybody knows about it by now. What I'm wondering is, well, two things. Number one, whether you heard about the double cross that Joe Biden and the Democrats, but especially Joe Biden, he double crossed them almost before the ink was dry on this supposedly bipartisan agreement. These moderate Republicans, how could they be so stupid? I mean, I'll give you the details in a second, but, well, let's go right into it right now. I guess I'm going to ask first, is anybody out there, I'm sure some of you are you Seinfeld fans? Remember the situation comedy Seinfeld? There was an episode where, for some reason or other, Jerry owes one of his comedian friends a free dinner. So he invites him to dinner. They're in the restaurant, and the friend says, well, you know, I'm not really hungry. I'll just get some soup, and then you can give me the free dinner next time. And Jerry says, well, wait a minute. This is the dinner. If you only want soup, that's it. That's your free dinner. And they get into an argument, I guess, over semantics, whether it's a dinner or not. I was reminded of it when I read about this supposedly bipartisan deal, because it's the same thing. Well, let me give you the headline first, and then I'll explain the Seinfeld reference. Instant bipartisan double cross. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Politicians in Washington renege on their bipartisan promises all the time. But what are we to make of a deal in which one side admits it is pulling a bait and switch from the start? Mr. Biden stood with 5 Democratic and 5 Republican senators at the White House and endorsed their trillion-dollar infrastructure outline. Backslapping and self-plaudits all around. But 2 hours later, the president said he won't sign the infrastructure bill unless the Senate also passes the other $3 trillion or more he has proposed in tax increases and multiple new entitlement programs. Quote, "What we agreed on today is what we could agree on, the physical infrastructure. There's no agreement on the rest," unquote, Mr. Biden said. Quote, "If this is the only thing that comes to me, I'm not signing it," unquote. Mrs. Pelosi issued, that would be Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, Mrs. Pelosi issued the same ultimatum. Quote, "We will not take up a bill in the House until the Senate passes the bipartisan bill and a reconciliation bill," unquote, that could pass without GOP support. Most politicians at least wait a decent interval to pull a double cross. But Mrs. Pelosi and Mr. Biden are trying to prevent a revolt on the left. That's what this is all about. So they are now holding a bipartisan deal hostage to the left's demands. This is political blackmail aimed at Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, who are part of the bipartisan Senate gang of 10. These 10 senators of both parties who negotiated this horrible deal. Unless they sign on to all of the progressive tax and spend agenda, they won't get their bipartisan deal, and Mr. Biden and progressives will blame them for the failure. The question is why Senate Republicans would sign on to this deal when they are being told to their faces they'll be double-crossed. That is well, that's not quite my question. My question is, it would seem obvious to me you should anticipate, these are Democrats, by the way, you should anticipate a double cross, and they should have dealt with that at the very start. That's what distresses me so much about these bipartisan or these moderate senators, the GOP ones anyways. They are so naive. They have no street smarts. That's what really bothers me, because if I'd been among the Republicans in that party, I would have said right away, before we negotiate any details at all, we need to make it clear, and this has to be in writing, that just like Jerry Seinfeld and the soup, and this is the dinner, this is the deal. This is the deal. There will be no reconciliation, no going back to the trough again to, fill your snouts with something else, you pork barrelers. This is going to be the deal. This is the whole deal. Whatever we agree on today, this is the deal. It's only physical infrastructure, no more of this human infrastructure stuff, no more entitlements, no more Green New Deal, no climate change, none of that other stuff. We are not going to sign on to this today as an understanding that this is only a partial agreement and that you consider yourselves free to go on and try to negotiate something more later, or not even negotiate, just roll over the Republicans and just ram something through with a reconciliation bill that requires only 50 Democratic votes plus a tie-breaking vote from Kamala Harris. I would also go a little farther and say that, of course, there's going to be a photo op in front of the White House when we're done. I need to hear from each of the Democratic senators. They have to say in public, before the microphones, before the American people, that again, this is the deal. This is the final deal. This is it. And then vote. And I would even require in the Senate that first there has to be a vote that there will be no more reconciliation bills or something like that. I don't know. I would want some kind of guarantee before even talking about details. And if I could not get an ironclad guarantee, an ironclad promise at the very beginning, I would stand up and say, thank you very much for inviting me, Mr. President, but I am not going to play the sap for you. I appreciate the coffee, delicious coffee, the cakes, the sandwiches, whatever they give, the chicken wings, pizza, whatever. I would say, I appreciate your hospitality, but I'm not going to play the sap. I am not going to agree to anything that leaves you in a position to try to get more later. This is the deal. Same as the soup at the restaurant with Jerry and the comedian. It should be the same thing at the White House with these negotiations yesterday. But what I cannot understand is why these moderate Republicans could not anticipate that and get a definitive answer at the very beginning before going through this whole kabuki dance with all these negotiations. I guess the only good news out of this is that deal is dead, this supposedly, this quote, bipartisan, unquote, deal. And I suspect that the reconciliation bill that they're trying to ram through, that may be dead too, or they won't be able to get more than a fraction of what they want to get, probably nothing more than tax increases, because if they could get everything they want, and this is something else I should have understood, these moderate Republicans, if the Democrats could get everything they want through this reconciliation bill, they wouldn't be talking to the Republicans in the first place. Why? They wouldn't even bother. And this is a problem that I have all along, that just some senators and these moderate Republicans. You know, I grew up in Detroit. And a tough city. It wasn't when I was a child, but it became a tough city under the governance of liberals for decades. And then I lived in New York for 40 years, same deal. So you develop a certain amount of street smarts after that, and I cannot believe, I keep saying, I guess I'm a broken record, I cannot believe how naive and credulous these moderate Republicans are. I would hope that Donald Trump gets out there and campaigns, because that is a man, whatever you say about Donald Trump, the guy has street smarts. He is street smart. I hope everybody he campaigns for, that they win. And, well, I wouldn't complain if he's president again. But Godspeed, Donald Trump. Let's get rid of these moderates, as many as we can. Bye-bye, Lisa Murkowski. Bye-bye, all of these other ones. Well, Susan Collins, we're stuck with her because her only replacement would be a Democrat. So I'm going to give her a pass. Susan, your position is safe, and Trump should not primary her, because whoever, a conservative who defeats her, would lose. And that's it for today. As always, I appreciate your spending your time with me. If you could spend a little more time, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. That would really be great. Share with anybody you think would also like it. Got any comments? Comment section below the video, where you can also put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. You could visit my other channels, my hot dog recipe channel, my music channel, original music, links in the description. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see everybody again. I look forward to seeing everybody again. And until I do see everybody again, bye.